has said it, that's absolutely fine. You know, we won't take it personally. But also the people here are prepared to say, you know, like Stephanie said, it's not fractured, or not as fractured as people are saying. And what does it look like when it is working, if you think it is fractured? Have we got a microphone? Yes, come down to the woman here in the purple would be helpful. I'll try and make them brief if we can, because I think time's running away. I know Simon's going to go quite soon, and
I'm a GP with specific responsibility for safeguarding in the borough. I think the system is fractured, and I agree about the relationships. The trouble is, particularly in medicine, but I know in education and social services, I presume as well, you're measured by what can be measured, not what counts. And you only get paid if you tick the right boxes. People have the beauty competition of having the right symptoms and the right words being used, otherwise you don't meet the threshold. So you have a real concern about a kid, well, sorry, I shouldn't call kid, young person, and it doesn't meet threshold because you haven't actually quite used the right vocabulary that the social worker thinks that adds up to something.
Brilliant. Great point. You can leave that there. Good mic discipline.
Hi, Charlotte Davis from Fit to Learn Croydon. We've spent 4 years looking at this post the riots. We believe there is no holistic understanding of child development in this country. There are no proper PE outcomes in British education system. We don't understand child development. We are not checking it. We do not check sound processing. We're not checking binocular vision. Consequently, children in Britain are not properly developed, which explains why we have such a big tail of ability, why we have so many unfit children. And for children in the care system, they're really blighted by that, because on top of poor development, you've also got trauma. I know because we're having great success moving children who are in extreme trauma plus learning difficulties out of it.
Thanks very much. It's fast as this guy in front of you, but we're just making the most in the middle there. You're lucky. Yeah.
I'm Moore, director of the Victoria Clean Foundation. The system may not be broken, but the processes that is the vehicle of the system are breaking right now. And I've just summed up in 5 points what the speakers have been saying and contributors from the floor. And I think the challenges and what's needed are provide continuity within a social work practice. Social workers, we run a national advocacy support work, and it is actually very difficult for a social worker to be allocated a case to be in a case for 1 or 2 months. That cannot work. The second point is we need to break the barrier of isolation. They've got it right. Those countries have got it better because children have been included within the decision-making process. The frontline staff, the social workers, must be part of the decision-making, which is totally not what's going on at the moment. We've got middle management who have no contact with families or young people making the decision. We need to get an effective community and family engagement.
Let's time running out. I wanted to say very clear. It's brilliant. That's fantastic. Do you know, I'm just going to throw it open. Does anyone want to respond in particular to anything like that? Does anyone want to respond to the box ticking point that we heard first off?
Well, it was true, and I thought the points that you were making were also true. Is that nobody in any place stands any chance of getting alongside and working with young people if they don't have a manageable caseload, if they don't get proper supervision and proper support in what they're doing. And I completely agree. If what's happening in places is that middle managers are making the decisions, then that ain't never going to work in a million years. And people mentioned earlier Professor Munro's review. I do still think that it was a seminal piece of work, and I still think we're not grasping it in the way that some of your comments have just suggested.
My colleague in general practice, it seems to be complete insanity that you get paid for doing the wrong thing. So we change that somehow. We start writing it on the wall so people get that the message is the wrong one. You should be being rewarded for doing the right thing. And the right thing is making sure you're building proper relationships with children which have outcomes which are appropriate and benefit what they need.
Very quick answer, sorry, yeah.
Really interested in the point about child development and some of the examples Dave gave about where there's some excellent practice in other countries child development is a fundamental part of how they work.
We have a very quick comment from someone over here, just about from the young person's perspective.
I just wanted to add that the services are there, they're informative, but you're telling the wrong people. I think you're playing it safe and you're going to the safer areas. I think you need to go to areas that are more, not more corrupted, should I say, and more that's high in gang crime and everything. I think you're playing it safe, and you need to go behind the scenes, get groups like these and tell their real life stories and people that actually been through it. And you're just going to the wrong people and telling the wrong people. You're playing it safe.
Box ticking or anything, or
Well, I echo what Dave said about box ticking. I mean, I think what the government did try to do in 2011 is to try and remove some of that prescription. We have said again in a document that we've put out this year that we're going to have a look again at whether we can take away some of that box ticking sort of, we call it bureaucracy, and actually because as I said earlier, I think what we need to do is to make sure that social workers actually can get out and talk to children and young people, and that is what we want to do. We do not want to be filling in forms.
We've got a couple of people responding, watching this social media tweets, I think, or they've been watching somehow. Why can't all the services be combined to advocate for children? Anyone got a view on that? Good idea? How's it be done? If it's such a good idea,
I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you can combine all the services because they are such complex, different practices. You're not going to get. It's not as simple as just we're here to help. I think the services need to be separate, but I think they need to be joined together with good communication. I think if you want to bring services together, you get the experts in each particular field talking to each other, but not spreading yourself thin over a universal service.
And Simon, you talked about silos right in your opening bit. How is it working? Well, the partnerships working? What can be done to make them better?
Increasingly, multi-agency safeguarding hubs are being created around the country, and they are, without any doubt at all, the future. But you can't get away from the fact that there is still significant reticence within some areas of that multi-agency work, whereby the information sharing is simply not what it should be, and people are still too protective about information which ultimately, if shared properly, will go to protect the lives of young people.
When you say that, is that all agencies? Do you include police and that as well?
It's all agencies. I think we are all as culpable on this, and we need to fundamentally look at this all again. The legislation exists to share it. People get too protective around their own practices, too precious around information, and we've got to start making some bold decisions in terms of actually putting the victim at the heart of all this, rather than thinking about protecting our own professional capabilities.
Are there any active moves? What can the government tell us is happening to improve that partnership working then?
Well, actually, I do agree that, despite actually quite a lot of, we put out this guide about how actually, where vulnerable children, where the lives of vulnerable children, that actually you should have a presumption to share information. That doesn't always happen. It is all agencies, although actually my colleague here on the left, sometimes we do find some challenges with health and social care and the interaction there. So there is something about that. In a sense, the government is not saying that you can't set up integrated services. Actually, I think what we're looking for is what communities, I think there's something about how communities think themselves they can manage their services well. If that is in a multi-agency way, in a co-located way, that is what needs to happen. So I think the challenge back to government is if something is getting in the way of you doing that more effectively, then we need to know that we can and actually take some steps to make that be able to happen.
We are very, very brief comments. We want to take one last round of questions.
I think I take Simon's point that the legislation is there for sharing information. It doesn't work. No, it doesn't. And I think actually we need new legislation around it. And we said this some years ago.
Can I make a challenge on the multi-agency safeguarding us? Because I do think
there's a good start, and in some places they seem to be working well, but there's no consistent model for matchers, and there's been no evaluation of matchers. So I'd like to see some real looking at what is working, and I think partly what we need is a much more of a learning environment where we share learning and knowledge, and I don't think that's there.
So, really running out of time, so just if there's some final comments, quick comments to try and provoke a final final comments from the panel before we all finish. Yeah, can we just...
Let me just... I've got a mic.
I can't see you.
Yeah.
Lost it. Oh, there we are. Brilliant.
My name is Stephen Del Sol, and I live partly here in America as well. But we use the word, the system is broken, it needs to be fixed. You know, I'm using the American term here. I say this because I am an educator, I'm also an ordained minister as well. And I agree with the doctor about there isn't a set of values. But the quality of our civilization is based on how we treat the most vulnerable children in society. 7 out of 10 children expelled and suspended from school are special needs children. That is a broken system. That's a broken system because you've got the school-prison pipeline formed.
Thank you.
So I think we've got to admit that if you look at it historically, this country have not treated children very well.
Thank you very much.
Some comments from social media from young people. A common theme is children's rights are not seen as an essential, crucial part of the systems. They're seen as an add-on. They're seen as something that is, you know, can be put to the side when it suits people. And actually, what children and young people are saying is that that's what's going to drive improvement in the services if you have a children's rights agenda at the heart of it.
Down here, possible? Where's the microphone gone here? Yes, down. Yeah, raise down. Woman in the blue who's got her hand up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Emma Harewood, working on the Child House programme in London. Just to say, I think that statutory services have a great deal to learn from the charitable sector, the way that they provide that kind of advocacy role, somebody to be a consistent person to walk alongside a young person, whether that's offering practical support, counselling, whatever it might be. Some of the stuff that you were saying, helping to translate and navigate our really complicated system. I mean, it sounds like a bit of a cop-out because it's not fixing the system, but it's something that we can do really quickly and will make a massive difference.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm really impressed with this debate because I'm
Too short, eh?
It is too short. I'm Rowan, I'm a social worker, just an average social worker, and I've not come into the system from a very educated point of view. I've come from sort of a similar background from yourselves, a person who probably should have had services myself and never did. And I think what somebody said earlier really hit with me is prevention. As a frontline service, I go in, and I know Dave said earlier that we're firefighting, that's all we're doing. I can't say I've ever really done any really good prevention work, because every time I become imaginative, every time I say to my service, this is what we need, I get stamped on. I get, Rowan, what the hell are you going on about? That doesn't meet legal frameworks. And I'm saying, why aren't you listening? Because actually, if you put these preventative services in place, and like ISIA, sounds like in the prevention you worked with them for 5 years and you got somewhere, but there was no longevity, and somebody pulled the crutch, and we always have people pulling the crutch. So why is there nobody saying, as soon as you're strong, we'll keep you strong? There's too much, you're strong now, so go on, do it on your own.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm missing you out every time. Not deliberately.
Hello. I myself came out of the system not long ago, and from being one of you guys to now going into work in an office and blah, blah, blah. The main thing for me is I spot, again, with the ratio of the panel, is you've said it continuously, communication, voices of the victims. So why aren't we using voices of witnesses who are passionate to train them, to put them inside that system, to put them inside that system? To me, we just have too many people voicing academic opinions which are of value and no action. And then that gap gets bigger between the victims and the witnesses who are passionate, and you have academics who are reading off textbooks and policies and just advising, and that gap continues. Yes, we make improvement, but that improvement is slow compared to our competition out there.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And there's so many points there, but just pick the ones that you might want to do. Let's do it in the order coming back this way. Well, Ashley can speak at the end, but Michelle.
Yeah, I'd like to put Emma's point on the advocacy. I think it's really important point about how young people can be helped through those complex systems, and the Independent Child Trafficking Advocate Service has trialled and has now got early adopter services looking at using advocates in that way for trafficked young people, but how we're going to learn from that and look at how that might also be useful for other groups of young people.
Thank you. And Rex, pick up on anything if you want specifically, but use it as an opportunity as end thoughts here. We've run out of time virtually, so.
I'm going to finish with one sentence: complexity. I've been doing law for 26 years in a very narrow field. I think I know it. I struggle to understand it sometimes, to keep up with it. Somebody 14, God help them. I'm 30 odd years old now. This is what I do day in, day out. We need to make it all a lot simpler.
The system's too binary about all sorts of things. So you're either in care or out of care. You're either a child protection case or you're not a child protection case. We're either going to be in Europe or we're not going to be in Europe. We live in a completely binary world, don't we? You're either that or you're that. Actually, the power of a lot of the work that goes on that's really successful is, and actually social workers in particular are great at this, is they're good at collaborating and doing partnership. And actually this country, at a global level, but actually at a children's level, has got to be less binary and more thoughtful about how we do partnership and collaboration. And if we did that, we would take a quantum leap forward.
I can pick up on what Dave said, and what you were quoting the young person about children's rights. The word that we haven't used at all tonight, and I think it's a mistake, the needs of children in our society should be made paramount. It's in the legislation. We should be acting on that at every step of the way. If we did that, we could have the revolution that we need.
So I entirely agree too that we need to get much more into looking at children's rights, and again would welcome a conversation about what that might look like and how we can make that happen. And just a bit of a random comment, which was a point I think made over there, and it came up earlier about advocacy and about children having maybe one person that can advocate on their behalf. So just Scotland actually are looking at a model, and I think it will be important for us to have a look at how that works in practice, actually, where all children actually will have a sort of individual that they can help navigate whatever this system is or whatever help and support they might need. So I think we do need to have a look at what is happening there as well.
Rowan's point has resonated with me perhaps the most, in that it is the responsibility of senior leaders, senior managers across all our services to ensure that our staff can do the right thing. And it's a terrible shame when you are trying to do the right thing and your managers are preventing you from doing that. That's a massive, massive failure.